It was this man's dying wish for her hand in marriage. And what kind of woman would she be to not grant him that wish? Sounds romantic, no? Well, not if you know the whole story. Andrew Robinson Stony, or Captain Stony as he named himself,
but you can and should call me the captain,
was madly in love with Mary Eleanor Bowes, the Countess of Strathmore. Or, at the very least, he was madly in love with her wealth. She was the wealthiest woman in Britain at the time. Perhaps even the wealthiest woman in all of Europe. Mary Bowes had inherited a considerable fortune from her father. An unusual stipulation for the time was her father's request that her husband take her name if they were to marry. Her first husband, John Lyon, the Earl of Strathmore, complied with this request after petitioning Parliament. The Earl and the Countess married in 1767, but a few years later, he contracted tuberculosis. He passed in 1776, but the Countess started taking on new lovers long before that. She took the sickness and health thing a little loosey-goosey. At the time the Earl passed, the Countess found herself pregnant with her lover George Grey's child for the fourth time. Between the pregnancy and her husband's death, she decided to accept Grey's proposal for marriage. But the two would never marry. Captain Stony didn't want to miss his opportunity and watch the woman he longed for wed another man. Scandalous articles regarding the Countess's personal life were published in the Morning Post, a conservative London newspaper. The captain challenged the editor of the paper, Reverend Sir Henry Dudley, to a duel to defend the Countess's honor. Dudley was famously skilled duelist who'd earned himself the nickname the Fighting Parson. They drew their guns and walked their paces, counting out each step. 1, 2. On 3, they turned and fired. The captain fell. He lay on the ground, hand clutching his chest. And he called out for the Countess. It was his dying wish for her hand in marriage. And the Countess said yes. They were wed immediately. The captain was placed on a stretcher and carried to St. James's Church, where the service was held. Except he didn't die. What people didn't know was that the captain was the one writing and submitting the slander letters to the paper. He also wrote defense letters arguing the other side to keep readers engaged in the fake scandal. Reverend Dudley, the editor of the Morning Post, was a friend of the captain's, and the entire duel was staged. The captain became the second Mr. Bowes. Immediately, he took possession of his wife's wealth and assets. She had a prenuptial agreement, but he forced his new wife to sign everything over to him. He treated her horribly, abusing her in every way imaginable and fathering numerous illegitimate children with the maids and the revolving door of sex workers he brought into their home. After 8 years of torture, she was finally able to slip away with the aid of one of her maids, Mary Morgan. The captain found her and kidnapped her, fleeing north with her bound and gagged on the back of his horse. He was quickly arrested and the two were able to successfully divorce. But her legal battles continued until her death in 1800. She lived out her final years in Strawfield House in Hampshire, in relative isolation. Mary Eleanor Bowes was the great-great-great-grandmother of Lady Elizabeth Bowes Lyon, better known as Queen Mother, mother of Queen Elizabeth II.